Do you want to make your wall stand out without spending a fortune? Well, I have got you covered with 10 easy Dollar Tree DIY decor ideas that are so easy even a cat can do them. Okay, maybe not a cat, but you get the idea.
Hi, I'm Loli, and I'm so glad you are here.
Let's start this project with this wood round that I got from Dollar Tree. The first thing that I did was remove that hanger, and I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of this Krylon satin paint. Then I'm going to use this beaded reed from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove that hanger. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and round, and then I'm going to attach it, as you see there, using a combination of wood glue and hot wood glue. Friends, I want to take this moment to say thank you for clicking on my video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Once the beads are nicely attached, I'm going to take this circle that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove the hanger, making sure to also remove the staples to make sure that I have a nice flat surface. And I'm also going to remove the sticker just to ensure that it's nicely adhered. So for this sticker, I'm going to use my heat gun to heat it up, and I'm able to remove the sticker a lot easier that way. Now that it's all nicely clean and level, I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and wood hot glue to attach this to the center of the wood round. Now it's time to reattach the hanger, but I wanted to upgrade it a little bit using these wood beads from Dollar Tree. At this point, you can either keep it as long as it is or shorten it if you like by tying it to the wood round, but I wanted to keep it as it is. I wanted to keep the beads also nice and loose, so I just reposition it, going from the front of the wood round to the back. Now I'm going to make a bow using this ribbon from Dollar Tree, black and white polka dotted, and I'm going to create an awareness bow, as you see right there. I am trying to gauge how much of a big bow I want, and I'm scrunching it here in the middle to see what the true size will be after I do that. And then I'm going to adjust my tails to be a little bit longer, and then we're going to cut off the piece that we need to do this bow. Now that I'm happy with the length, I'm just going to go ahead and tie it in the middle with a piece of jute cord in the color black and white and attach it to the wood round where that wire was. And this is it for this one. Let me know what you think. For the next project, I'll be using one of these wood rounds from Dollar Tree along with this MDF circle as well, and the stickers you see there. First thing that I did was paint that ring with black and the wood round in white. And I covered both with a coat of Mod Podge to protect them. Then I'm going to use these stickers that I got at Dollar Tree yesterday. I haven't seen them before, and I'm going to put them at the center of my wood round. I have to say these are really sticky and very good quality. So here I'm just making sure that I am square with the holes, so making sure that this strip will be nice and straight. And then I just kept adding it in small sections as I was removing the backing from it to avoid any kind of bubbling or any wrinkling. One sheet was not enough to cover the whole section, so I just took another one, and I'm trying to figure out exactly the best way to match it so it looks as seamless as possible. And then once I got to that edge, I'm going to remove the backing off of that edge and try to match them together as best as I can on the edges, and then remove that backing and then cut off the excess. Then I cut off the excess with scissors and finish it off with a nail file. Now we are ready to put this together. I took one of these wooden home signs from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add some of my Tide Bond Thick and Quick to the back of it. And place this word to the middle of the stickers. Now it's time to attach the circle onto the wood round. And to do that, I'm going to use some Tide Bond Quick and Thick. And I'm just going to spread it just using my fingers. This is to avoid any excess from seeping through the sides. And I prefer to use the Quick and Thick because it gives me a little bit more time to maneuver this and make sure that everything is properly centered. Whenever I use these rings, I always put the hanger on first. Here, I totally forgot. So I'm just going to use the leftover beads that I had from a garland I used earlier. And I'm going to go ahead and thread it through the holes there and create my hanger really quickly. I don't want the tie bond to dry quite yet. So as soon as I finish that hanger, I'm going to place this right on top of it. And this is the reason why I did that first, because otherwise you will be having that jute cord over the ring, and I prefer to have it in front instead. Then I use some of these pink clamps from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to clamp them in specific areas to keep everything down until that glue sets. I found some areas in which the glue was not quite enough, so I am adding a little bit more there, being careful to not add too much, and then I position my clamps. But I'm impatient and I need to finish this project, so we are going to continue this project while the clamps are still on. I'm going to use the leftover pieces that I had from the previous DIY to add to this as well. I'm just going to cascade it to the side as you see there, and I'm going to add a nice little amount of hot glue right there where my finger is to position these right there. I'm going to hold them in place until the hot glue sets. Then I'm going to take some of this black ribbon that I got at Dollar Tree from the Halloween section. I'm going to create a 2-loop bow. I'm just going to crisscross it as you see there, then loop it to the top, go over it, hold it in the middle once the two sides are the same size, and then I'm going to loop it again to the opposite side, bringing it back to create the tail at the end. I'm going to cut off that excess piece. And then we are going to take a piece of jute cord, and once I scrunch that bow in the middle, I will tie it with the jute cord. Once I tied it, then I'm going to cut off the excess twine. I dovetail the ends, which means just folding the ribbon vertically and then cutting a triangle going upward. Next, I added a nice amount of hot glue to the back of the bow and placed it where the glued pieces of greenery or goldery, I guess, in this case, is also attached to the round. Then I took this golden bead that I had for the previous DIY and using my miter shears, I'm going to cut it in half and then glue one of those half right there to the middle of the bow to hide the jute cord. And to keep the pick from covering the word home, I'm just going to tack it with a little bit of hot glue onto the frame right here. And that is it for this one. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of this one? For the next inspiration, we're going to do a simple one using one of these golden charger plates from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this home sign that I got a while ago from Dollar Tree as well. I'm just going to remove the beads off of that. I tried to pull it off, but it kind of left the jute cord there, so I'm going to come in with my staple remover and remove the staples as well. Then I took some Tide Bond Thick and Quick, and I'm going to add it on all 4 corners of the home sign that will be touching the charger. And position the home sign right there in the middle. I let this dry overnight, and then the next day I came in and flipped it over, and I used some beads that I had left over from another garland. Threaded it onto some jute cords, put a couple knots in each end, and then glue this to the back of the charger. I'm using a combination of Tide Bond and hot glue. The hot glue tends to not stay too long in plastic, so this is why I'm using the Tide Bond, and I'm using the hot glue just to have that hold while the Tide Bond dries. Friend, please let me know in the comment where you're watching from. I always love to know where my videos are reaching and how many people are watching and where they're watching from. So I truly appreciate you leaving me a comment, letting me know which one is your favorite in this project, and let me know also where you're watching from. Thank you so much. And if you're still with me this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, and make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And here this project is complete. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one, if there's something different that you will do with it, or any suggestions to make it even better. For this first one, we're going to be using this charger plate. I'm going to paint it with 3 coats of this flat Rust-Oleum spray paint. Then I'm going to take one of these calendars from Dollar Tree. They are these farmhouse ones from 2024. And I'm going to use this one right here. I'm just going to go ahead and tear it off very carefully so I don't tear it before I can use it. Then I took one of these splatter guards from Dollar Tree and I'm going to use it to mark off my circle. So I'm going to use it right here to see and just position it. It doesn't quite cover the entire thing, but I'm just going to move it up a little bit and try to do the best I can to create a circle. I'm going to go ahead and just cut the edges off, and we are going to be using something else. So I'm going to take one of these wood rounds from Dollar Tree, remove that cord, and I'm going to paint it with this blue cobalt pen from Dollar Tree. What I did is I took the paint, I watered it down a little bit, and I'm going to use it as a stain on this wood round. And this is what we turned out with. Now we are going to take some glue from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to add it to the center. This is just regular school glue. And I'm going to spread it around towards the center, going towards the edges, trying to keep it as even and as thin as possible. Once I had the consistency that I needed and an area covered that was big enough to accommodate my paper, I'm going to go ahead and add on that paper right there, making sure to have it nice and smooth and centered. And I'm going to start from the middle and then work my way to the edges as I'm smoothing it down, making sure I don't have any wrinkles as I go along. When I got to the edges, I didn't have quite enough glue on there, but I like that about it. I didn't want it to get dry before I can go ahead and seal my edges. So I'm adding some more glue underneath the paper in smaller sections, and then I'm working with my fingers, just smoothing it down, making sure that it's not wrinkled and it doesn't, bubble up or lift. So I just kept doing that until my paper was completely down, adhered nice and secure, and the edges were also sealed in with the glue. And this is what it was looking like. I put it to dry, and then we're going to go ahead and work with this. We're going to add it on top of the charger plate that we painted earlier, and I just glued it with some hot glue. If you notice here, I'm leaving a little bit more space in the top, and I'm doing that on purpose. So this is ready for the next step. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's glued. If you decide to use this piece outside, make sure that you use another adhesive other than E6000. All right, so here I'm going to take some of these beads. It came from Dollar Tree at some different points in different DIYs. So I'm going to take 4, actually no, I took 6 of this one. And I'm going to paint them with the same stain color that I used for the wood round. And I just put them in the bag as you see there. Just go ahead and mix them around as you see there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the 4 beads that you see right there, but I'm going to use the color Scarlet from Dollar Tree to use it as a stain as well. So I'm going to do the same thing, add some of that paint into the bag over the beads and hold them in the bag, and just keep moving them around until they're completely coated with the paint. Once that was done, I'm going to go ahead and put the beads on top of a piece of parchment paper. This is just the easiest way to have the beads dry and also not have that stick onto the surface. It doesn't stick, so I'm just moving it around here just to remove excess paint so they dry nice and evenly. And I repeated the same process with the red ones. To speed up the process, I'm using my heat gun to dry them a little bit quicker, and I'm making sure to move them around so they don't pull up or they don't stick together with the paint. Now I'm going to thread them into a thread. I'm going to make a pattern of 1 red to 2 blue, and I'm going to keep doing that until I run out of red and blue. And I'm going to add the white ones that you see here at the ends. Then I didn't have any holes on this, so I'm going to create some holes with my drill on the charger plate. And then I'm going to tie the hanger onto it. Now it's time to add some greenery. So I'm going to use these sticks that I got from Michael's at some point. I'm not sure when exactly. But I'm going to use one of the red and one of the blue. I'm going to separate them into 2 pieces each. And I'm going to just combine one of the red, actually 2 with the reds with 2 of the blue, and vice versa. But first, I'm going to go ahead and add a bow. So I'm going to use this burlap ribbon that I got from Carolina Pottery in a trip that I made over to North Carolina. I need to get back to there and get some more. I was there, but I forgot to get some. I am running low, and this is like the best burlap ribbon I have used. Anyway, I'm going to create a awareness bow, as you see right there, making sure that it's a size big enough that it will cover the 2 little holes on the blue wood round. Once I was happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut off that excess. Then I'm going to scrunch it up in the middle and tie it with a piece of jute cord. And then I glued it to the top of my wood round. Now it's time to embellish a little more with the greenery. I'm going to cut the 2 sections that I separated towards the side on both sides of these. Eventually. I put 2 pieces of blue on one side and 2 pieces of red on the other. And I'm going to go ahead and glue them at the back of my bow at each side of my wood round. And I follow the same steps for the other side. I thought that the bow was a little bit too plain, so I'm taking these leftover red flowers that I have from a different project, and I'm going to glue them on top of the bow, as you see right there. And to finish it off, I'm going to add a little bee right in the middle. Here we go with the next inspiration. I'm going to use this charger plate that I got from Dollar Tree. I went nuts when I found it. It is all honeycomb, so I thought it was be perfect for a beautiful bee-themed DIY. So I'm going to paint it with the spray paint from Rust-Oleum, and I'm going to give it a total of 3 coats. Then I took some of my antique wax from Waverly, and I'm going to use a dauber. So I'm going to try to do my dauber pretty dry because I just want to accentuate the raised edges on here, or the honeycomb portion or pattern on the edges. I did this until I was completely done with this and gave it a nice rustic look. Then guess what? I took another one, another calendar piece from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to use that bee one that you see in the back, and it came from this farmhouse calendar as well from 2024. For this one, I took also the splatter guard, and I'm going to do the same process that I did with the first one to cut out a circle. Then I took a round sign from Dollar Tree from the summer section, and I'm going to go ahead and sand off the edges and make it nice and smooth. I removed the dust, cleaned it off, and stained it with my Waverly Antique wax. Now it's time to attach it to our charger. So to do that, I'm going to use some hot glue. And I'm going to go ahead and take some of that same school glue that I got earlier from Dollar Tree and glue my calendar page on it. My friend, if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe. It is free and it means the world to me. And make sure that you hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you each time that I upload a new video. As I said, everything is free and it means the world to me. Thank you. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and straighten out my paper the same way that I did with the first one, starting from the middle and spreading it out and smoothing it out until I get to the edges, and then sealing off the edges with some extra glue. Then I took some of this rope from Dollar Tree and I'm going to use it to frame off my picture. I add a little bit of hot glue to the beginning of my rope so it wouldn't unravel. And I'm going to do the same thing here where I will be cutting it in a little while. I'm going to add some hot glue in between those threads, hold them in place until they stay put. This avoids any unraveling of the rope when you cut it. Now I'm going to glue the rope all along the edges of the wood round. Once I get to the end, I'm just going to use my scissors and cut it in a straight line. That way it's easy for both ends to have a seamless transition between the two. Just going to glue it right down there, making sure that both of the pieces of rope fit perfectly so you can barely see that they are two pieces. And I repeated the same process with another piece of rope towards the inside of the wood round. Then I'm going to take some of this cotton cord that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to line the border of the image. Now it's time to create a hanger. I'm going to do that by using a piece of rope. I'm just going to attach it to the back of my charger plate by adding some hot glue to it and then topping it with some more hot glue. And once I added the piece of rope and then adding a piece of masking tape over that glue while it's still wet. That just secures it in place for a little bit more longevity. If you're planning to use this as a door hanger for outside, just make sure that you use instead some E6000 or some other glue that is long lasting and is not affected by temperatures. I decided to distress this a little bit, so I'm using some of my rich paint from Folk Art to just dry brush here and there just to give it a worn look. Now it's time to create a bow. I'm going to use this variety of ribbons that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut a piece about 6 to 7 inches long for each piece. I'm going to dovetail the ends of each end of these ribbons, and then we are going to create a messy bow. Then I'm going to place all of my ribbons in a crisscross pattern as you see right there, and then I'm going to cinch it in the middle and tie it with a piece of black cord. I fluff up my edges, making sure that my bow is nice and tidy, even though it's called a messy bow. I'm going to cut off that excess twine off, and we are done with the bow. I go ahead and I give my bow a final fluff. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to go ahead and bring over that wood round. And it's time to add this beautiful bow to our wood round. I'm going to add it right up to the section in the middle with some hot glue. Now it's time for some greenery. I'm going to use this greenery from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use 2 pieces of each, actually 3 pieces of each one of these. I use 3 for one side, 3 pieces of it for one side, and the other 3 for the other side. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the previous one, just sticking them in the underneath or on the side of the bow right there, so that bow will hide the hot glue. And I repeated the same process on the other side. And look how pretty that is. I love it. Let me know what you think. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to my subscribers for subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing. All these things help me tremendously. They help my channel grow, and I appreciate you very much for them. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe and join the Lolly D's Creations family. It is free and it means the world to me. For the next inspiration, I'm going to use this buffalo check charger that I got from the Dollar Tree. I love it the way it is, so all I'm going to do is antique it a little bit. But first, we are going to use another calendar from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this pic right here that is a perfect color combination with the charger plate as well. I'm going to measure exactly how much I want, and I'm going to just cut out the circle portion that's there, but being careful to not cut off the S or the little end of the T. I'm making sure to keep those there, and I just fussy cut it with my X-Acto knife. Once I was done with that, I'm going to take some of my Mod Podge and I'm going to add it to the center of my charger plate. I spread it around nice and evenly and a thin layer onto that circle section of the charger plate, and then I added on my sweet home picture. I smoothed it out, remove all the bubbles. I worked really hard on making sure that it was not all streaky. So I used my brush after this was down and sealed it up with some more Mod Podge. Then I sealed it at the top as well with some Mod Podge. Here I was a little bit too enthusiastic and I created a small little rip, but that's fine. And I also added some Mod Podge to the rest of the charger so that everything had the same finish. Even though Mod Podge says matte, it always dries with a little bit of a sheen. Now we are going to antique it with some of our antique wax from Waverly. There was a couple sections right there in which I kind of tore the paper a little bit, but you know what? I said this is perfect because it's just going to look like it is worn on those sections. So I'm going to add a little bit heavier amount of that Waverly antique wax over those sections, so it just looks like it's just metal that is rusting. And I'm going to add the antique wax also all over the charger, including the top section of that calendar piece. And this is how it's turning out so far. Now I'm going to take some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree and I'm going to create a double layer bow. I'm going to take the blue one and create a big awareness bow and then cinch it up in the middle and hold it in place. And I'm going to do the same thing with a polka dotted ribbon and put it over it. We are going to cinch that bow into place and tie it with a jute cord, dovetail the ends, and stick it to our charger. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to add this button to the center of the bow. I'm going to add some of these yellow flowers that I got from Walmart, I believe, and some of that fern that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to do 2 pieces of the yellow on each side and 2 pieces of the fern as well on each side. I fluffed up my bow and that was it. Then I'm going to take some of these beads that I got from Dollar Tree. I took off a section, stained it with some antique wax, and tied it to the charger after I bore some holes. And that is it for this one. Let me know what you think. And here we go with the final reveal. For this project, we will be using one pizza pan from Dollar Tree. I removed the paper and I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of this chiffon cream from Rust-Oleum. Once it was nice and dry, I'm going to come in with some burnt amber from Apple Barrel and I'm going to paint the edges of the pizza pan. Once everything is nice and dry, I'm going to use my basket. I'm going to use the larger one for this project. And what I'm going to be using is that bamboo section. So I'm going to removing it all from the piece and I'm going to put to the side the pieces of wood that I can use for a different DIY. In the process, some of the string came off, but that's not a problem. You can just go ahead and trim them off. I also removed the button and the elastic piece. We will be using this piece at the bottom of the pizza pan. I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue to adhere this in place. If I had a little bit more time, I would have just used the E6000. Then I place the piece of bamboo down and I make sure to hold it taut so I will have a gap at the center. Then I turn my pizza pan around and I'm just adding hot glue to the edges just to reinforce it while that E6000 sets. Now it's time to trim the bamboo. So I'm using my snips here at the corner just so I can make some space so I'm able to better maneuver with the scissors. Once I have a nice grip with my scissors, I'm just going to go along the edges of the pizza pan until I completely remove the excess bamboo. And now it's time to line this with some of this cord that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to be lining the bottom section of the bamboo and I'm going to add 2 more strands at the bottom as well to cover up the seam where that hot glue is showing. For the top section of the bamboo, I wanted to use some of these beads that I got from Dollar Tree. I got them last year. I haven't seen them this year so far. And I'm going to go ahead and add them to the very top as you see right there. And I'm going to add some hot glue and then position them, hold them in place, and then go in small sections, making sure that this strand is completely straight. Once the beads were secured, I'm going to remove the excess twine, but I'm going to leave a section that is long enough for me to adhere it towards the back of the pizza pan. This is just to make sure that it has a little bit more security. And I'm also going to add some hot glue on top of that twine, and I'm going to add a piece of masking tape over it so it does not become undone. If you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. This signals YouTube and let them know that you're enjoying the content and it will push it out to more people. I truly appreciate it for helping my channel grow. Thank you. Now I'm taking some of these sunflowers that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut them into individual flowers. I'm going to end up using 5 of them. The first thing that I did was cut them off the stem and I'm pushing the leaves all the way up so they are completely against the flower. And then I'm going to bend the wire exactly where that leaf ends. And I'm going to do that 5 times and I'm going to add these flowers to that pocket that I created with the bamboo. Once my flowers are positioned, I'm just making sure that everything is nice and even. I'm just fluffing them to make sure that my leaves are also showing. And just making sure that my petals are nice and straight as well. If you have some petals that are all over the place, you can just add a little bit of heat to them using a heat gun and it will straighten them right up. Now I'm going to use some of these. I believe they are called foxtail. And I'm adding one pick of them. I got these at Dollar Tree. And I'm just cutting them into medium-sized pieces and then sticking them in the back of the sunflowers. Here I'm not using any hot glue because I want to be able to change my flowers if I choose to do so later on. Then I'm taking some of this reddish eucalyptus that I also got from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to put them in between the foxtails until I use the entire pick. But wait, I'm not done yet. We are going to be adding a different hanger to this. So I'm going to use these beads that I got some years back from Walmart. They were on clearance. And I'm going to take a piece of jute cord, add some hot glue to the end so it will stiffen it, and begin to thread my beads onto the jute. I'm going to use 2 of this light honeycomb or honey bead looking bead onto them, and 1 of that larger brown one. So I'm going to do 2 beads to 1 larger, 2 smaller beads to 1 large one, 2 smaller beads, 1 large one. And I ended up with this. Then I'm going to knot them at the end and glue them in the back and reinforce them with some masking tape. And I trimmed off any excess jute. Now I'm going to just fluff my flowers one more time, make sure that everything is nice and neat, and I'm going to add the smallest amount of hot glue on the back just to make sure that everything stays in place while I have this hanging. And then I'm going to take this thankful word that I got from a set of 3 at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue them with some hot glue in the bottom section of the flowers. And this completes our project. Look how cute this turned out. Let me know what you think. Of course, we will be using a wood round. I removed that hanger, and we're going to use this white leather that's actually on sale at Dollar Tree right now, 2 for $1. I'm going to make sure that I have enough to cover the entire wood round, and then I'm going to take some of my Tide Bond glue, thick and sticky, something like that. And I'm going to add it to all of the edges, making sure to go all the way to the end of the edges. I want to make sure that this sticks very nicely. And then I'm going to add it to the rest of the wood round and spread it around using a brush. Then I'm going to place the leather right on top of the wood round, making sure that it's going to all of the edges, and then smoothing it out, making sure that every inch is attached. And I cut off the excess. Then using an X-Acto knife and this self-healing mat, I'm going to cut off the excess leather. Then I'm going to take this sign that I got from Dollar Tree in the 1950s. I can't remember when I got this, guys, but I got it at Dollar Tree. I want to say about 2 years ago. And I'm going to go ahead. First of all, I want to know where my top is. So I'm poking the holes through the back of my wood round to be able to know in the front where my holes are. So I'm just using my weeder to do that. And then I went back on the other side as well to poke the holes in. And I'm trying to make sure that those pieces that are busted, I don't know if that makes any sense, like the edges are inside the hole, so it looks more finished. Then I'm going to remove that jute cord from the back of the sign. I'm just going to use my staple remover to remove the staples that are holding them in place. And this piece fits so nicely. I'm going to put it to the side for now, though. I wanted to make sure that I had my hangers in place before I added this, just to make sure that everything was centered. The hanger helps me a lot as a place of reference to know if everything is in place. I didn't want to just put in the same jute cord hanger, so I'm adding a combination of, I think it's a 2 to 1 of beads of some of the white and some of the black, and this came from Dollar Tree as well. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. And this is the pattern we ended up with. Then I position my hanger in place. I'm just going to thread it through the front of the wood round just to make sure that I have more of a finished look in the front. Now it's time to attach this to the wood round, and to do that, I'm going to use a combination of hot glue and some Tide Bond Thick and Quick. As a full disclaimer, here, this is the first time that I tried it. I only used the hot glue, but when I came home the next day, the sign was on the floor, so I guess that letter didn't like just the hot glue. So I ended up gluing it with some Tide Bond and hot glue. And I put something over it that was heavy and kept it there until the glue was able to set. As I put the sign on, I decided to take this off. I wasn't happy with how that looked, so I wanted to do my own. This was like a last minute thing. So I removed all the glue as best as I could from there. And I painted that section because there was some places in which you can still see the glue. I sanded off the area, and I'm going to come in with this full car black paint and paint all the sections that I sanded down. It was a perfect match to the black that was already there, so I didn't have to do anything to the rest of the sign. Once the paint dried, I'm going to take some of these leaves that are like a hanging vine that comes at Dollar Tree. You can see it right there. And I'm just going to curve it as best as I can. Add some hot glue to the ribs at the back of the leaves. And I'm attaching 3 in succession. They're pretty much kind of overlapping here and there until I form a complete circle around the O. And as I add the leaves, I'm trying to add them all in the same order, like one in the same direction, and overlapping it a little bit, so you will be covering the end of one with the beginning of the other. And that is it for this one. You let me know what you think. For the next inspiration, I will be using a wood round as well. I'm using 2. Both of these came from the Dollar Tree, and I will be using some of this vinyl from Dollar Tree as well. First thing we are doing is removing that hanger off of the bigger wood round and the smaller wood round. For the smaller wood round, I'm painting it with the linen white chalk paint from Rust-Oleum. But then I changed my mind and I painted it with my full card rich black chalk paint, but kept the letters white. Using the same black chalk paint and a small brush, I'm just distressing all the edges around the letters. And this is how it looked like when I was done. Then I'm going to take that vinyl and cover the front of my bigger wood round. I am adding it into small sections and smoothing it off as I'm putting the vinyl down until I cover the entire surface. Then I cut off the excess vinyl and then use an X-Acto knife to cut the edges off as well. Friends, if you're not aware, right now Dollar Tree has these vinyls at 50 cents each. So go ahead and stock up on them. But only use them for surface covering or things like that because they are not the best when it comes to using them with your Cricut. Here, I'm just using my brayer, or my scraper actually, to remove any kind of bubbles. I'm working from the middle out to have the air pockets go out of my surface. Then using an X-Acto knife, I'm cutting off all the excess vinyl. And here it is all covered up. We're going to put it to the side for now because we are going to use one of these rings that we also got from Dollar Tree, removing that tag and covering it with 2 coats of my linen white chalk paint from Rust-Oleum. Making sure that it's nicely dried. And now we are going to put everything together. Actually, no, we are going to first make a hanger. Using the same hanger that came off of the wood round, I am using this pack of beads from Dollar Tree, and I'm using the 3 colors. You see there have a pattern of 1 of each and putting 1 of the big ones in between every 3. Now here I am marking off my openings of my hanger again. using my weeder there. And then we are going to feed that hanger right back onto it from the front to the back. Now adding some hot glue to the back of this hello sign, we are going to glue it to the center of the bigger wood round. And it was hot, so use your heat protectants. Here we are going to attach our ring to the wood round, and to do that, I'm just adding some hot glue to it. I will consider using hot glue and E6000 or hot glue and Thick and Quick for this as well. Placing it right there on the edges, and it's a perfect size for this wood round. Now I'm going to take some of this greenery from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut 2 pieces off, and we are going to pair them up as you see right there. They were a little bit scanty, but that is fine. We will fix it later on. Here I'm just trying to fluff it as best as I can to have it look full. Then I just added a nice blob of hot glue onto the bottom where I was going to position them and press them down onto the hot glue, one on top of the other. And to add a little bit more protection to it, I just added another blob of the hot glue on top of that. And in the sections that were a little bit scanty, I just cut individual pieces and added them on so both sides look nice and uniform. If you enjoyed this video so far, go ahead and comment, like, and share. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Now it's time to create a bow. So I'm going to decide here on the black and white here, polka dotted, but they're mostly black. And we are going to do a double loop bow. I'm just doing a awareness bow, as you see there, scrunching it in the middle. But I'm going to do this twice. I am doing loops in opposite directions, angled at opposite directions as well. Ending up with 2 loops and 2 tails, as you see right there. Then I'm going to scrunch everything in the middle and tie it with a piece of jute cord. Then I cut a piece of ribbon out of the other spool. It's going to be just a little strip of it. And I'm going to glue that strip over the jute cord. I just added a little bit of hot glue on the back of the bow, added one end of the ribbon to it, wrapped it around the front to cover the jute cord, and then glued it again on the back. Then taking the edges of the tails, I'm going to fold them long ways and cut upward at an angle to create dovetails on each one of the tails. Now add a nice decent amount of hot glue on the back of the bow and glue it right there onto that mountain of hot glue that I have going on there, and cover it right up. And that is it. Let me know what you think. For the next inspiration, another wood round. Surprise, surprise. But this time we're going to use leather and some peel and stick. And those words also from Dollar Tree. Of course, removing that hanger because we are going to be covering this wood round with the peel and stick. I am starting by removing the peel and stick off of that smaller section on the back, making sure that it lines up nicely with the edge of the wood round. And then I'm going to slowly start peeling away onto the larger size of the peel and stick background and smoothing slowly as I go along to avoid any kind of bubbles. Then I remove the excess paper using my X-Acto knife. There was a section of the wood round that was not covered, but that is fine because we are going to be adding this leather from Dollar Tree. This is the perfect size for this craft. If you go low enough, you will get to the edges where both the edges of the wood round and the edges of the leather match just perfectly. To attach the leather, I will be using some Tide Bond Quick and Thick. I'm just going to add the glue to all the edges, making sure not to add too much or too far up onto the wood round to avoid any excess glue onto the paper. Then I just lined up my leather once again with the edges of my wood round, and there I had a little bit of bleed, but that's fine. I just cleaned it off and then slowly pressed down on those edges, making sure that my leather was not wrinkled in any places and that it was nicely stretched as well. And trimmed off my excess leather. Then I came back with my X-Acto knife and trimmed off the rest of my excess leather. Then I'm going to use these thumbtacks from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off the pointy end off of all of them, and I'm going to position them all along the edges of the leather. I space them out as you see there, just eyeballing them, and I'm going to glue them on using some of this Titebond Tick and Click. Tick and Click. I cannot say it today, guys. You know what I mean. And as I glued it along and I saw any of that glue seeping through the edges, I'm just cleaning them off right then and there. And I just keep going back and forth between both sides, gluing them on until I was completely done with that bottom section. Then I took one of these letter words that I got from Dollar Tree. I decided to use the word grateful, and I glued it to the middle portion there of the peel and stick using some Titebond. And I just added 2 little dots I had glued to a couple sections just to hold it in place until that other glue set. And as you see there, I made sure that that was really stuck properly, every little bit of the word. There were a couple sections where there was still some paper sticking out. I just sanded it off with my zip sander. And now here we are going to just use a pick to clean that up. And we are going to find our holes once again, just poking through and then making sure that that paper goes inside the hole so we have a nice finish outside. For the hanger, I decided to take some of these wood beads from Dollar Tree and paint them with my gold folk card metallic paint. I find that the easiest and quickest way to stain these beads are to just add them into a little Ziploc bag and add some of the paint into the bag and swish them around until all the beads are completely covered. Once we are done swishing them around, I just took them and put them into a paper towel to dry, and I just use my heat gun in a low setting trying to move the beads around as I'm drying them to speed up the dry process. But watch out for some runaway beads. Then we are going to take the hanger that wood round came with and add the beads to it. 1, 2, 3, abacadabra. Here we go. And then I repositioned the hanger, but I fed it from the front. I was wrestling with the finishing touches, so I decided to add some greenery to the front. This is what it looked like when they had the greenery. But then I decided that I didn't really like it this way, and I decided to put some gold thumbtacks along the top section of the leather as well. And this is how it ended up. You let me know which one was your favorite. If you plan on recreating it, I would love to see pictures on Instagram. Please tag me on your recreations. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, here are a couple more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Bye.